So we're 6 weeks into the new year, which means that gyms are back to their regular capacity, running shoes remain unlaced, and bicycles are now collecting dust in the garage. Because it turns out that building habits and a healthy lifestyle is kind of really freaking hard. In the bike world, there's a type of cyclist called the weekend warrior, the person who is too busy during the week to ride their bike, so they get it all in on the weekend, riding miles anywhere between 40 to 100 miles in a single ride. But if your goal is to ride your bike and to build the habit of cycling so that you can lose weight, be fitter, be healthier, look and feel better, and even save some money and live longer in the process, then you should definitely focus on riding your bike every single day rather than on long weekend rides. Here's why short daily rides are better than long weekend ones. And my favorite bike to ride on is this video's sponsor, Wabi Cycles. To learn more about the bike that I'm rebuilding a habit of biking every day on, and what makes them so good, and what makes me want to ride a Wabi every day, stick around until the end of the video to learn more about them. Best definition of a habit that I've ever heard was something that's easier to do than it is not to do, something like brushing your teeth. And if you're trying to integrate cycling into your life, it's a lot easier to do it just a little bit every day than it is to do a big chunk of it, say like once a week, because it's a lot easier to commit to riding your bike for at least 10 minutes in a day than it is to say to commit to even a 2-hour ride, which is maybe 30 miles if you're just starting out, once a week. And once you get more into it, you could ride maybe an hour every day, maybe 2, versus like 6 hours a week. Like, that's a big chunk of time if you're doing weekly rides to commit to. Like, if you don't have 10 minutes in your day to go ride your bike, I think you need to reorder your priorities because it's just so good for you. And also, it's like, fun things happen on the weekends. You're not always going to have a consistent chunk of time to ride your bike, a consistent 2 to 6 hours every single weekend. Like on my weekends, I have band practice for like 3 to 4 hours every weekend. And then also I'm hanging out with the boys afterwards. And then Sunday is the only time that I get to have uninterrupted time with my fiance. By the way, I'm getting married. I'm super stoked. So even me, I'm like super into cycling. I don't even have the time or the commitment to do a long ride every single weekend, but what I do have the time for is doing a ride every day, even if it is just 10 minutes. It's one of your weekend rides. It's kind of a big deal because if you're riding anywhere between like 30 to 100 miles, that's a lot of miles and a lot of exercise that you are missing out on. Things come up, life happens, but if you have a daily ride built into your schedule, it's a lot more flexible. It's like, even if it is just 10 minutes upwards to an hour and a half, it's not as big of a deal if you're just missing out on 2 to 15 miles. And then you could just get back on that horse the next day. You don't have this pressure to ride extra hard if you're riding every day to make up for lost miles. A wise philosopher by the name of Aristotle once said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. And I've been riding my bike, or at least trying to ride my bike, every day since I was 16. I am now almost 28 years old. And in the United States, we have an expression of like, oh, I peaked in high school. But because of cycling, it's my primary form of exercise, I didn't peak in high school. Here I am, 12 years later, after I started cycling, and I am in the best shape of my life. I have more stamina, I think more clearly, and also the depression that I was diagnosed with in my senior year of high school, that I took medication for, that I went to counseling for, it's gone. I don't have it anymore, and a large part of that is because I ride my bike so much, and it just makes me feel so dang good. If you ride every day as opposed to being a weekend warrior, you'll also just ride your bike more. For instance, if you do one like pretty girthy 40-mile ride a week, That's only 5.7 miles of riding every single day. And that only takes about 30 minutes. If you're doing that same 40-mile ride every single week for a year, you're riding 2,080 miles. Pretty respectable, but also, if you just ride 5.7 miles every single day in a year, that's the same 2,080 miles. But even if you just bump up your daily riding to like 10 miles a day, you get exponentially more miles in. You're riding 3,650 miles a year, 70 miles a week, all just by riding 10 miles a day, which would take maybe 45 to 50 minutes. So just by riding a little bit every single day, you're going to be accomplishing your goals a lot faster. You're going to be making progress a lot faster and a lot more consistently. And also, you don't have to do one or the other. Like, you could still ride your bike for a little bit every single day and still do a long weekend ride if you want to, rather than putting all of your eggs into one basket. There's also just the fact that riding every single day is way more fun, so why limit yourself to only doing it on the weekend? Like, every time I ride my bike, which I try to do every day, it's always a good decision. It always makes my day better. Like, what else costs nothing, I mean, once you have a bike, is good for your health, doesn't take that much time, consistently makes your life better and makes you healthier and makes you fitter. Like, it's a very precious gift that cycling is, and it's so great that we get to do it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, my brain works on maximum overdrive after I ride my bike. Like, I don't even have to ride fast. I don't even have to ride far. Maybe like half of these videos that I make just fall out of my head after I get back home from a ride, or even during a ride, and I have to pull over and write the video down. Like, seriously. It normally takes me like an hour and a half to 2 hours to write a video, but when I call it falling out of my head, because it's like it doesn't even come from me. But when a video falls out of my head, usually it's after I ride my bike. It only takes me about like 10 minutes to write a video. Like, it's way more efficient. And then there's also just the fact that riding makes me happy. So why would I limit it to only doing it on the weekend? Like, endorphins are a real thing, you know? I rode for 12 and a half minutes, 2.2 miles for 10 miles an hour. No, it didn't take that long. No, I wasn't Speedy Gonzalez out here, but I feel great. And I got a whole video out of it. Like, what more could you ask for? This message from our sponsor, Wabi Cycles. Wabi Cycles has changed my life, and I'm not just talking about the fact that they give me money to say the things that I would say anyway about them, but rather their bikes are actually so good that it's another thing to look forward to when I get on my bike every day. They help reduce the friction that we have and the excuses that we tell ourselves that we shouldn't ride our bikes or that we don't want to ride our bikes, because they are just so dang fun to ride. And part of what makes it so life-changing for me and makes it so fun to ride is that these bikes are meticulously hand-built out of top-tier Reynolds 725 or Columbus Spirit steel. It has a ride quality that just encourages you to want to get on the bike and encourages you to keep pedaling the bike once you are on it. My Wabi is one of my most treasured possessions because it tangibly improves my life. And if you're looking to get one for yourself, be sure to check out Wabi Cycles linked in the description. And Fixie famous shoutouts to David K, Julian Corona, Brandon Black, Brent David, Perez, and Ted Onchi for helping to make these fixed gear videos possible through the support on Patreon. And remember, a life is short, but don't make it shorter, so be sure to ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.